And I am thrilled to welcome to the air a very special guest to help us cap off 4 weeks that rocked America and debut Midnight Dead, our new weekly 1-hour show of nothing but live Grateful Dead. 105.9 The Big Kahuna is honored to welcome Grateful Dead singer, guitarist, and songwriter Bobby Weir. Aloha, Bobby.
Hiya. How you been?
Excellent, brother. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
You bet.
I'm proud to say that we can have you as a guest on our very first show as we launch this new Saturday thing that we're doing, Midnight Dead. It sort of makes up for Hawaii not being on that massive tour itinerary I see the Dead have for this summer.
Well, I sure wish we could get there, but, you know, you're way the hell out there in the middle of the ocean.
I just see so many shows on that thing. Anyway, at the end of it, possibly, like a finale of sorts?
We got our best guys on it. I know that everybody would love to do it. Come on out there.
Sure. No, I'm sure there's a lot on your plate anyway, just rehearsing. Or I imagine, even though a band like the Dead that does not really rehearse, but having a new member with Warren Haynes joining the band, no matter how long you've known him and worked with him, is there any sort of rehearsal that's being involved to put this tour together?
Hell yeah. We'll do most of a month's worth of rehearsal before we hit the road. We're going to go into rehearsal in a couple of weeks now, and then we don't go on the road till June.
Is the set list, how's that going to be? Is that like a total democracy, or is there an order that unfolds relating to somebody putting it together, or is you just going to be winging it?
We're not ready to wing it yet because we've got new guys on board, namely Warren, so he may have to brush up on the tunes. So what we'll do is we'll do set lists. I'll do them one night, Phil, and do them the next. We'll go back and forth like that.
Oh, that's how it'll go.
Yeah.
Dig it. You just answered the question and shed a little light on it. That's cool. So you'll write one, then Phil will write one, and no one else, not to throw down any rules on it, but generally speaking, that will be the set. No one will add anything to it.
Well, you know, I'll write a set list, and then Mickey will say he doesn't want to do this one, he wants to do that one. Or, you know, it goes. There's a little back and forth that goes.
Okay, cool. No, that's a great insight. I'm sure people listening will truly value. I get a lot of questions these days. We've been featuring the latest Dick's Picks Volume 31 during this final week in the 4 weeks that rocked America thing we've been doing, and I get a lot of questions as to how many more Dick's Picks will be coming.
Well, I know that Dick Latvala took copious notes, and our archivist. David Lemieux, he has all those notes. He used to work with Dick and for Dick.
Okay.
So,
have you checked it out, by the way, this new Dick's Picks 31?
No, I never listened to those.
You never listened to it. Well, either way, that's an answer that people haven't heard before, and they'll appreciate that. It's from 1974, and I always wonder if you, like me, or anyone, especially someone like yourself, when you look back in time, do you ever focus in on previous dates or eras? Is that how you do your nostalgia?
Well, yeah, I tend to lump stuff into eras. That 74 was the era when we had the monster sound system. And the vocals didn't sound all that great during the microphone system that we used at that time didn't sound all that wonderful.
And so you have that as a memory, and of course the Wall of Sound.
Wall of Sound. The band was playing pretty well.
Yeah, great recordings, fantastic stuff with the with this Dick's Picks. It shows from the summer of '74, and it's something that we're about to spotlight here on the air. It shares a song with your new We're Here album. It's a different recording of it, but the same song, Me and Bobby McGee.
Uh-huh.
And inside the We're Here CD compilation, how much did you have to do with that one, by the way?
A bit more.
One thing is this Dynamite version of Me and Bobby McGee, which is, there's one version on We're Here, there's another version that's on this Dick's Picks 31, and there's a story I'm hoping you can elaborate on, and it mentions briefly inside We're Here that there was a 1970 train ride through Canada, and on this, you guys and Janis Joplin together learned this Chris Christopherson song.
Yeah, from this guy. I think he was a writer from Kansas, and he knew the tune, and he was I think in the country car. You know, we had the blues car, the rock and roll car, and the country car on this train, and all of it was being recorded. Because I just heard I just saw the movie last night that they made of this train trip.
Festival Express.
Yeah, and that little session that you just described wasn't filmed, but it was recorded, and it's part of the soundtrack. It's basically Janis and I think there were a couple other people singing as well. I didn't remember that until I heard the tune, and there was somebody else singing. I don't know who. we got to the end of the tune. We weren't done, so we started la-di-daing it, and I think I started yodeling and stuff like that. And anyway, that so the end, that end little business on that's how that end little business on Bobby McGee, that I guess now has been become sort of a standard way to do it. That's how that all started.
Immortalized in her version, so to speak.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great explanation of that. I'm really pleased that you shared that with me, and of course it went on to be potentially one of her biggest played songs on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get on to Me and Bobby McGee from the new Dick's Picks Volume 31 that we're talking about, and then we'll come back and wrap this up. Is that cool?
Sure.
It's Grateful Dead legend Bobby Weir being generous with his time, the finale of 4 Weeks That Rocked America, the launch of Midnight Dead, from our Spotlight CD, Dick's Picks Volume 31, recorded in Philadelphia, August 4th, 1974. It's me and Bobby McGee on 105.9 The Big Kahuna, Honolulu's only classic rock, the Workforce Afternoon. Dave Lawrence with you, and the launch of our debut edition of Midnight Dead being celebrated with special guest Bobby Weir of the Grateful Dead joining us. And I appreciate you sticking with us, Bobby.
You bet.
We closed down 4 Weeks That Rocked America with the latest live release from the Grateful Dead's vaults, Dick's Picks Volume 31. It's a 4-CD set, documents a pair of shows, Philadelphia Civic Center, one at the Roosevelt Stadium in Jersey City, recorded in August of 1974. That, Me and Bobby McGee from the Philadelphia date of this collection. And relating to other live releases from the vaults, aside from the Dick's Picks titles, how is there some kind of selection process that reaches the band members when it comes to putting out material with the Grateful Dead's name that was recorded back then?
Well, anybody who's interested is more than invited to do it. We pretty much leave it up to David Lemieux and his guys, David Gans and old Blair Jackson, people who are experts on what it is that we've done, and that's not us. So really, those folks are the guys who do it.
That's what I suspected, but that does sort of give some insight into it. And when you look at the body of work, if you were ever to make a suggestion, and I get the feeling you've been too busy to be contributing, if you were, is there a live era that is a personal favorite?
I think the last few years with Brent, the band was particularly hot. I think that was like the late 80s, early 90s. Joe was in good shape, and Brent wasn't in great shape, but he was real good. He
was smoking, man. You just honed in on my favorite era, which I've, in previous interviews with you, because I've interviewed you 5 times now. One time I remember going over in great detail that late 80s period. Wow, nice of you to hone in and to give Mr. Midland a little exposure. Since you did bring him up, I'm just as a curiosity. I remember there was that tune, and you'll help me with this. The title of it, "I Will Take You Home." Was that the one?
Mm-hmm.
And that was written for his daughters, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any contact with his kids now that it's been like 14 years later? I'm just curious. Like, they're all grown up, I guess. Or...
They're living in Hawaii now.
Say again?
They're living in Hawaii now.
Brent Midland's kids are living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Where I am.
And his wife is remarried, and, they're doing pretty well, I think.
Wow.
Graduated high school.
That's amazing.
Or is graduating high school this year.
Dig it. Here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's remarkable. Yeah, Brent was always, Brent meant a lot to me. That's cool that you share that. Well, I hope they are doing well. I think about them. When you guys reformed as the Dead, when was it that you decided to start issuing, like a lot of other groups are doing, the live CDs of every single show, sort of beating the bootleggers and serving fans all at once?
Well, it's something we can easily enough do, so we might as well do it. Rat Dog has been able, on the last tour, we got a bunch of CD burners, and we were able to actually sell CDs, good CDs, really high-quality CDs of the show, to people walking out after it was over. If you wanted to stick around for 15 or 20 minutes, you could have the show and take it home with you.
That's a great thing.
There was one problem that came up, is people, when they say they bought the show coming in or at halftime or whatever, and, there's always, now there's this phenomenon that happens, there's always some dude out there with a piercing whistle who will, break out his piercing goddamn whistle, when, at the most poignant part, the quietest part of the ballad, so that he can play it for his friends and say, "That was me." I'd like to discourage that kind of activity.
I'm there with you in strong discouragement of any sort of loud activity. Always something I always, when I listen like to the Zeppelin recording of The Song Remains the Same, and you hear that quiet moment at Stairway at the end and the firecrackers are going off. That's the only thing that comes to mind when you mention that.
Let the artist work. Come on.
Absolutely. Oh man, I agree with you on that. A couple more questions and I'll let you go, Bobby, because I know you're a very busy boy. Is there any way we could talk you into thinking about, maybe you'll jot down on your little notepad, releasing some of the recordings, because you guys have so much and you put out so many, and through this discussion we've sort of learned that you're not that involved in that process. So maybe if you were to have one suggestion, everyone else would maybe like it. Perhaps you'd throw out a recording done here in Hawaii.
We've been there a time or two.
Do you remember playing here?
Yeah, I remember playing at a wrestling rink in Honolulu. That I don't think is there anymore. Funky old place. That was a long time ago. That was late 60s, I think.
But like the time you did a 3-night run, I have this guy, Rick, the mystery faxer. He sends me great stuff on fax. He sent me a full 8.5 by 11, like an ad, and it was for a 3-night run you guys were doing here in town.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was late 60s or early 70s. I remember it well. The airline broke my guitar going over. But
that's lame.
I don't remember how we played or if we were recording at that point. We probably were, in which case maybe we put it out. I'll bring it up if I remember.
There you go. I know you're good about stuff like that. I remember one time I was like, Bobby, as a favor for doing this broadcast, I want to have this favorite show of mine from the vaults. And sure enough, you guys got it for me, and I've always treasured that. You're always a man of your word, so I know you'll think about Hawaii. Do you ever come here to visit?
Sure.
You do?
Usually either to the Big Island or Kauai.
Have you been in the last couple years?
Yeah.
Dig it. Well, 105.9. Maybe you'll try to remember that one if you're cruising. I know you hear plenty of rock and roll, and in your free time, I'm sure it may not be the very first thing that you turn into. Doesn't Billy still have a place on the Big Island?
I think he has a place on Kauai.
On Kauai.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it was. Okay. What would you think, talking about this exotic locale, what would be the most exotic or tropical place you remember performing in?
Well, it depends on, it'd probably be Hawaii. I've done some, impromptu stuff in Mexico, Thailand, places like that. Actually, even in Vietnam, a couple years back. But with the band, I think Hawaii is the most exotic I've ever gotten.
In Vietnam, what's that? Just you and an acoustic kicking back spontaneously, or?
Yeah.
Dig that, man. People, I'm sure, enjoyed it. I would say 1982, Montego Bay, Jamaica would deserve a little mention.
Oh, yeah. Come to think of it, that was great. I played with Bobby and the Midnights and the Dead down there.
Nice. Yeah, Jamaica's a lot of fun down there. And as we depart here, I'm going to be playing a cut from Dick's Picks 31 again and wrap this up with you. Of course, well wishes. I hope that the tour goes great for you guys, and a plea for you to consider bringing the Dead out here, or any, Rat Dog would be great. I've known Warren Haynes for over 10 years, and he said before he'd love to come when I had him on to talk about the Almonds record, and between he and you and Dennis McNally and myself, we got to be able to pull something off.
I would think.
So if you remember to, please do say hi to Warren Haynes for me, and also your manager, Chuck Randall. I always remember fondly doing that Rat Dog broadcast in Worcester, Mass. that time with you for that Boston station, and it is a treat to speak with you again.
All right, thank you. This is Bobby Weir with the Dead and also with Rat Dog, and you're listening to our good friend Dave Lawrence